The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway is the USR Truck Series tonight, presented by B&C Lawn and Landscaping. Happy to have you along as we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome. Tonight, myself, Austin Coop, alongside Chris Murdoch and Cisco Scarmuzza down in the production trailer. Round number 2 of this championship chase, and it couldn't start at a much better place like Charlotte tonight, Chris.
Yeah, definitely. 3 drivers down, 9 more to go before we crown our USR Truck Series 2017 champion. I'm excited, especially to start it off at a race like Charlotte. Charlotte's one of my favorite tracks on the iRacing sim, so it should be a lot of action-packed racing.
Yeah, we'll get your championship grid up here, and it's a quite interesting one. It's not something, if you were to pick 3 drivers to be out of this chase already, 2 of them would not have been Justin Michael and Jamie Walker. They have combined 11 wins out of 23 races so far this season, Chris, which is an astronomical amount. And to be quite frank, Jamie Walker is actually quite on a roll. He has the best average finish by under 4th position, and of course Justin Michael was on a huge rail earlier, but they're no longer a part of this playoff picture. We have Scott Simley, Seth Foudy, Aaron Bennett, Robin Gillenwater. That's your top 4. Shane Hawther, Michael Waters, Greg Ball, Dwayne Dunn, and Steve Herring. The only thing about it is they're all tied right now for this spot, and they're going to have to go Charlotte, Talladega, and Kansas.
Yeah, definitely, Coop. It's always interesting when a league is purely based on points, and that's what I like about USR. It's so much, it's based on consistency. Wins are basically thrown out. You got to get them strictly on points. That's why you don't see drivers like Jamie Walker up there who missed the last race. He won the last 3 out of, well, not the last race, but he won the last 3 out of 4 races. So he was been on a tear lately, but unfortunately just couldn't get in on the points. So it's going to be interesting to see him up there. He's already up there in the field looking at the qualifying rundown right now, so he could be playing a big factor in tonight's race.
Yeah, and I spoke to a few other drivers that are in the chase, and they said seeing those 2 drivers out of it makes their championship hope a lot better, just seeing how their average finishes are better than any other drivers out there combined. And so you really have to look for these drivers to really start to come out and maybe show their true colors. Scott Simley is a driver I look at should really be bold here. He's been so consistent, and he got first place out of the first round. He was so consistent, he was hard to find, really. Seth Foudy won a race. Aaron Bennett got really close to winning 2 races. And then we talked a lot about some of the other drivers, but Scott Simley, he was one that really flew under the radar, and I think he's going to be one to really watch tonight as well.
Yeah, definitely, because he is one of those drivers that normally likes to stick under the radar. You know, he plays it pretty calculated, and he's really good at being consistent, and that's like I mentioned earlier, consistency is pretty key, so definitely going to be watching out for him. Maybe other drivers like Seth Foudy up there. He's one of those drivers who's been up front a lot, definitely able to get it done, and he's definitely one of those top contenders that I'm going to be looking at here tonight as well.
Qualifying is soon to be over. Give it about half a minute, and there's a pretty large field tonight. There's about 31 trucks, I do believe, that are on the track right now, or going to be out there tonight. And qualifying, of course, almost underway or under wrapped up, really. And this is a bigger field than what we're used to. We saw quite a few last week, a lot of new entries, and that does kind of kind of spoil maybe a little bit for these chase drivers. A lot of drivers coming back, a lot of new drivers as well, to really stir the pot a bit. And so that's going to be another factor, something to really think about as the night rolls on. Qualifying has now officially wrapped up, and Aaron Bennett, he will get that pole by 2/1000ths of a second over Bobby Terrell, who's making a comeback tonight, and haven't seen him race in quite some time. So it's good to see that 94 back, and he comes back with almost the pole. So he'll have to fight that way to the front against Aaron Bennett, who got the pole with Bobby Terrell. He starts second. Jason Jacoby's been doing really well lately. He's going to start in third. Jamie Walker, last week's winner, is going to start fourth, and Ashton Crowder, he's going to start in the fifth position.
That sixth place position belongs to Dwayne Dunn. The sixth of Tommy Ryan will be seventh. Chris Gabu is going to be eighth. Scott Simley ninth, and rounding out your top 10, Randy Yoakum.
Robert Gillenwater starting the 11th position, and 12th, Justin Listenby. Michael Waters will start from the 13th position with Dwight Beverly on his outside of row 7 and number 14. And number 12 of Greg Mall starting the 15th position with Matt Marr starting 16th. Skylar Grimson will start in that 17th position. Kenneth Dale Osborne will start in the 18th position with Seth Foudy starting 19th, and rounding out the top 20 will be Shane Hawther.
Justin Michael takes 21st, the first driver not to take a time here tonight. Randy Tesser, 22nd, 23rd, Justin Kleiber, Brandon Cutts, 24th, Michael Atkins Jr., 25th, 26th, George Hendricks, Ralph Vandervorset is going to be 27th, 28th, Michael Warren, 29th, 30, Tristan Beats, and Steve Herring will round out your field tonight at Charlotte.
Give a little bit of the track facts here tonight on this asphalt Charlotte Motor Speedway. 1.5 length in miles with the 4 turns, of course, and the turns of 24 degrees of progressive banking in the corners and 5 degrees on the straightaways. Here, 167 laps is going to be the name of the game tonight, Chris. And this is a really racy racetrack with these trucks, and there's going to be a lot of side-by-side action tonight.
Yeah, definitely. What a better race to start off the round of 9 than Charlotte on Charlotte Day here, Coop. So everybody's going to be wanting to fight for that win 1 to get off to a good start in the round of 9, and 2 just to say they won on Charlotte Day. That's always a big plus as well.
Yeah, it really is a really special day to have these guys race on Charlotte Day, and it's like you said, just kind of a great timing for this track to be on the schedule to start off the second round, and it will be one to tell how the rest of it goes. Everyone that's in the chase gets a very clean slate, so it's going to be hard to say who's going to have a huge advantage, except for who's really at the front, which is at number 3 of Aaron Bennett. He's going to start these guys off into turns number 4 and lead these guys to the green flag. I gotta say that there's a lot of hungry drivers behind him that are not in the chase, and for those at home who need to know who's in the chase and who's not, those drivers with the yellow numbers, those drivers are the drivers in the chase. You'll see it on their cars and on the ticker at the top of your screen, so definitely be aware of those drivers as the green flag is about to roll off. iRacing.com pace car is about to roll off into pit road. And at number 3 of Aaron Bennett, he is going to lead them to the start of this race. Charlotte Motor Speedway, here we go, and a good jump for the number 3 of Aaron Bennett. Jacoby's in tow behind him and give him that position well over Bobby Terrell. He is going to lose maybe another spot before turn 2.
Yeah, definitely. Jason Jacoby on the gas very quickly. He's now trying to track down that 3 of Aaron Bennett, and he's doing it. He's coming down the back straightaway with a full head of steam. He's going to be on the 3's back bumper going into 3, but he's not going to quite get there. Everybody's pretty much single filed out right now at the start, just trying to get their line in and run pretty cleanly for the first few laps and get the first few laps under their belt before they try to make passes. 167 laps here, Coop, is a long time, so you can pretty much pace yourself for the first few laps.
First few cars have been spread out. Look, the 39 of Dwayne Dunn, championship driver, under Tommy Ryan in that number 6, has him go high. And Tommy Ryan, I saw him in practice. He was trying that top side quite a bit, so I don't think he's going to be too uncomfortable starting there. And look at Jamie Walker on the underside of the number 94, Bobby Terrell. He's probably going to get that spot as Terrell keeps losing positions. I don't think that number 94 Muscle Milk Machine is too worried about it, as he just kind of let Walker by, knowing that he's a championship driver. but definitely something to think about. That number 94 has lost quite a few positions since the start of this race. That number 39 is not going to back down. He's going to try it on the inside. He's already there out of turns number 2. Look at Dwayne Dunn on a really good, he's kind of had a bounce back from the first round. Barely made it in, and he's coming up top 5.
Yeah, definitely. And just ahead of them, Ashton Crowder's been beaten on the back bumper of that one machine of Jason Jacoby for the past lap now. Coop, he just can't seem to get by him, and now Jamie Walker is going to be looking to the inside of that 27 machine, and he's going to get it done pretty quickly. He's going to make quick work of that 27 machine, and now he's got to try to get by that one machine as they're going down the back straightaway into turn 3. The 94, Bobby Turrell's going to be passing the 27 now, so maybe not the run the 27 we want to start out with. But it's definitely a long way to go. You can always save your tires here, and that's probably what most of these drivers are doing here. Cooper's just saving tires and trying to make it to that first pit stop.
You cannot forget the bad blood that happened between the 17 and the 27 last week, though, and it seems that something has been cleared up between those two, because the 27 absolutely let the 17 by right there. So for the viewers who did not see last week, Jamie Walker basically moved the 27 of Ashton Crowder out of the way to win the race after Crowder had almost wrecked him down the front straightaway a few laps beforehand. So definitely seeing that 27 move out of the way definitely clears up the air if there's anything still going on. So that has resolved itself, and look behind him. The 94 has come back and is back under the number 1 of Jacoby. So looks like that 94 muscle nut machine, he's definitely had something ready to go. He started on the outside and maybe saved his tires for the first couple laps, and then he's come back. Look at the 39 of Dwayne Dunn, also on the bottom, trying to get around Jason Jacoby, and it looks like he'll get the job done.
Yeah, and look at the gap that 3 machine of Aaron Bennett has put on the rest of the field, almost 8 tenths, and that's getting basically chewed away by the 17 of Jamie Walker, who pretty much put a gap. As you see a battle now for 3rd, that's Ashton Crowder trying to go on the inside of Bobby Terrell, and he's gonna get it done, maybe out of 4, gonna bounce back. No, not gonna quite get it done off of turn 2. It's gonna be going into 3 side by side, still no advantage yet. Ashton Crowder's going to be on the inside. He's going to clear him off of 4. New 3rd place driver Ashton Crowder, but Aaron Bennett's basically taking the reins of this first green flag stint, and he's taking it by storm.
He does have a very sizable lead, but when you have Jamie Walker behind you, you do have to wonder, is he catching him? And that answer right now would be yes, but it's a very, very small, minimal amount that number 17 of Jamie Walker is catching Aaron Bennett. So it'll probably be at least 5+ laps before that happens. But that is not something that we're going to shy away from talking about. Look behind them, the number 5 of Chris Cabot and the 68 of Scott Simley. They're side by side going the turns number 1 for the top 10 position right in front of Listen B. And look, the number 1 of Jacoby, he's sliding back just a little bit, creating a little bit of havoc for that number 5, going to create a small pick for the 68 of Scott Simley to go on the inside. Look at the 31 of Listen B. He's going to try and do the same thing and get himself behind or in front of the number 5, and that 5 and 1. That outside's not where you want to be right now, as it seems that they're going to lose a little bit of speed right there.
Yeah, and we seem like we're going to have a 3 truck, I should say, if I could speak any English here tonight, Coop. We are going to have a 3 truck battle for that 3rd place position, as Bobby Terrell is now getting on the back bumper of the 27 of Ashton Crowder, and don't look too far behind them. You'll find the 39 of Dwayne Dunn started 6th, up 1 position so far. He's kind of taking it easy, but you can see him slowly creeping into the picture to battle with those 2 up there for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, that battle definitely is starting to rage, but there's a large pack of drivers right here just inside and just outside the top 10, and you could say that those drivers are getting held up just a little bit by the number 1 of Jacoby. He's fast, I typically say, on the long runs, and right now we're only on lap 11 of 167, and that number 1 truck just seems to be a little bit slower than all these guys. He started in that 3rd position, all the way back to 8th, and he's got a lot of work ahead of him if he's going to try and not let these guys get by him. If you're a driver in the situation at this point, you have to say, well, a lot of these guys are behind me are faster than me, but they have to get around me first. And, if a caution comes out, you're going to be really saying yes to yourself. But if a green, it's a long green flag run, you could really hurt yourself by trying to push the truck a little too much. So a little breakaway from those 2. The 5 of Chris Cabot, he's going to try the top side and maybe slide down to the bottom. It's not going to quite work. The number 1 is going to actually be able to slide away. 2 wide behind them for 2 rows. It's going to be the 31, 4, 30, 42, and 2.
Yeah, definitely, Coop. And you mentioned how the one is always so fast on the long runs, and this is kind of the strategy you have to take to get that long run speed. You've got to go slower, be easy on the throttle, easy on the wheel going into the corners, especially at a track like Charlotte, where the truck can just eat up the tires so quickly. So I feel like Jason Jacoby's taking the right strategy right now, and maybe the people behind him are pushing just a little bit too hard. We'll see here in the next few laps. Already just completed lap 13, now on to 14. So this race is going by pretty fast, a lot faster than I thought it would here tonight, Coop, as there's a lot of action going on right now. But it seems like that pack behind Jason Jacoby is starting to single file out just a little bit.
And all while they do this, everyone else is just going to start pulling away. It doesn't matter if you're too wide or just single file, still racing and trying to get the preferred line. It's going to be a really big gap that there's going to put on you. Look at the battle for the top, just outside the top 5. Look at Tommy Ryan and Scott Simley battling for position. Scott Simley needs every position he gets. He's in that championship hunt, trying the bottom, trying to get around Tommy Ryan. It looks like he may just get it. Not quite. There he goes. He's going to be able to barely clear that number 6 to Tommy Ryan. And Ryan, it looks like he let him by, and he queued up on the radio and said, I know you're a championship driver, go get him. And so that 6 is going to let him by. And look at the number 1 of Jacoby. He's going to try the inside of the 6 now, and it's going to be a freight train of the inside, hopefully not for this number 6. And I think that number 1 is looking for a breath of fresh air after he was under fire by a lot of drivers. So number 6 of Tommy Ryan is now going to be the battering ram of the inside line, and it's when they let him go to the inside is when he's going to be able to breathe. But there's going to be a lot of cars coming.
Yeah, definitely. There's a big pack behind that Domino's Silverado of Jason Jacoby, who just want to get up there through the field. So I don't think Tommy Ryan's going to find any space for a while now, and that's going to really hurt him. He's going to drop back a huge amount of time, because as we know how dominant the inside line can be here, is now Jason Jacoby's gotten clear, and he's using all of that track to his advantage. You saw him pull up in front of that 6 machine and back down just to arc it into the corner. That's easier on the tires, and that's all I'm going to be basically talking about today is tire conservation, especially for these long green flag runs. It's so important. We're going to start seeing the tires fall off here now, Coop, about lap 20, and we'll see who really has what it takes to be up towards the front.
Yeah, looking up front, looking at the 27 of Ashton Crowder. You talk about tire conservation. That's a driver who really started working towards the front and is really starting to lose a lot of speed. Looking at his lap times, he's losing quite a bit of speed. And that number 39 of Dwayne Dunn got by him pretty easily. And not too long ago, he was fighting for that third place against Bobby Terrell, and Terrell made easy work of him when he got there too. So 27 may have just worked a little too hard on those tires. Good thing for him though, Scott Simley is over a second behind, and if he wants to maybe cool off those tires a little bit, he can definitely do so and keep his position. So that's a really good time to do it. If you're going to try and maybe push the car a little bit, look at the gap behind you, notice, hey, I got a second lead over these guys behind him. Might as well try it. If it doesn't work, I can at least cool those tires down a little bit. However, Scott Simley is really starting to rack off some times. He just beat Ashton Crowder by 0.2 that last time, and that's a lot at a track like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to take a moment to recognize Jamie Walker. We haven't really been talking about our top 2 much tonight just because of how dominant Aaron Bennett's been on this run so far. But before Jamie Walker was back 0.8. Now it's down to 0.4. So 0.4. So slowly but surely that 17's creeping up to that 3 machine. But he's definitely going to get there before green flag pit stops happen, Coop, and we could have a battle for a lead shaping up real quick.
Yeah, you mentioned just briefly about the pit stops, is that with this green flag run and with the way these guys are driving, it does seem that it will be not too far, especially with the limited fuel cells that these trucks have. And it's kind of a guessing game, because we're not too sure about when these trucks will actually have to come down. They'll just start coming, and then we'll know, well, when's the next driver going to come? And then we can really base it off that. This limited fuel cell really kind of throws a curve for us since we're not used to it, but we can at least get a general idea. It's probably going to be around 30 to 35 laps at a track like this with all green flag laps. Look at just inside the top 10 though. There's a big cluster of drivers. The 27 of Ashton Crowder losing more positions here. The number 1 of Jacoby is going to be fired against him in the 6 as well. Look at the 31 and the 4, also all 4 in line. They weren't like that just a moment ago though.
Yeah, not quite. They're all trying to get as many positions they can before pit stops. As you see the 31 jump all the way to the high side, I think we got a driver through the grass. We do. That's Tommy Ryan. He's going to be able to save it. He's coming back up on track. I don't understand who... I don't know what happened to that 6 machine. I think he just got loose off of 3 and 4, but he's going to push 3 wide. Now the 55 thought better of it. So you see a replay come up on your screen. It looks like Tommy Ryan just got loose. He kind of disappeared off my screen there for a little bit when I was talking about that 31 machine. And he was able to make it a phenomenal save through the grass coop and keep that truck going.
More trouble for another driver. Bobby Terrell has crashed on the inside and is getting that truck out of turns number 4. He was just inside the top 5. He was in 3rd place. Unsure of what just happened, but saw that truck hit the inside wall, and he is all the way back in 28th place. So calamity is starting to strike here, Chris, tonight, and it is not good for some of these drivers. No chase drivers, but still not good. Calamity strikes again. It's going to be the number 22 chase driver, and I just jinxed it. Here is the number 22. It's Seth Fowdy on the back straightaway stopped.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. That was 3 wrecks within 2 laps there that didn't bring a caution out until Seth Fowdy wrecked, and we'll get a replay up for you right now. It just looks like he got into that 2 machine and had nowhere else to go as the 22 came down and took another driver with him and just spun across the back straightaway, bringing out the caution. So we won't get the green flag pit stops like we hoped for here tonight, Coop, but very unfortunate for that chase driver here tonight.
Yeah, talked a lot to Seth Fowdy and his hopes of getting into the next round were really high, and had a lot of confidence actually going into this race and the next couple of races, and so he's really gonna have to work on getting that truck fixed. A lot of drivers he's gonna have to pass before the night's over, at least attempt to. So definitely gonna keep an eye on that 22 as the night rolls on. Pit stops are underway, and it looks like the number 3 is gonna lead them down. They're already down the way, getting into their stalls.
Yeah, definitely. We got Jamie Walker in second, who started 4, so he was up 2 positions, and he was catching that driver. The right sides go up on that car. He's going to be trying to look for a great pit stop, as we already have drivers off pit road. 2 tire stops. This is going to be the 97 of Kenneth Dale Osborne. He's going to be out first, and then behind him, that's Justin Kleiber. They were both back there in the back of the pack. That 93 machine and the 97 made very, very gutsy pit call moves here early, but it's always good to get them done early. They're going to be 1-2.
They're going to be 1-2, but with 20 laps on a track like this, I just cannot imagine that this is going to this is really going to play out well for either of the drivers, and it's going to be a really tall task before the drivers behind to maneuver around them. We've seen this done before in this league, and they do a very good job of getting around it typically. So I'm not too worried about it. Only thing is that those 2 drivers up front are going to create calamity for the entire field. These drivers are looking for anything really, looking for a little bit of track position. It looks like one driver is going to come down, but Kleiber is going to stay out. That number 93. He's going to get some bonus points. It looks like not as big of a deal as you might think if you're not in the championship. But if you're not in the championship hunt, if you get knocked out, you get reset. All those bonus points you got to be in the championship picture get taken away, and then you're reset back with the rest of the field. So that number 93 is still battling against other drivers. It's not like he's set with those other 3 drivers. So that is something to really think about for those guys, and for anyone else that decides to do that tonight.
Yeah, definitely, Coop. You took the words right out of my mouth. Justin Kleiber in that 93 machine started 23rd, had only managed to get up to 19th on that 20-lap green flag run. So especially when you don't have anything to lose, why not go for a 2-tire stop? And that's exactly what that 93 thought of doing. He's going to be leading the field with that black and white Exalta car of Aaron Bennett on his outside.
And while we have this moment to spare, we'll give a shout out to our friends at Joel Real Timing. Coverage of the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Get it today at joel-real-timing.com. And Joel Real Timing helps us with all the timing here on the broadcast to see the timings between pit stops and between drivers or intervals, and of course lap sled and all that funky stuff that helps us out on the ticker, that makes Cisco's jobs easier down in the production trailer.
Yeah, definitely, and it also helps me up here in the booth. It helps me figure out where the battles are going on, and it's just a help all around. Dual roll timing, definitely an awesome software. So get that free version or get that pro version. It's just easy to have. But getting ready to go back green here as we double them up. Coop going through 1 and 2. It looks like that Justin Kleiber 93 machine did go down pit road. Thought better of his task of 2 tire stops. So that's going to bump Aaron Bennett back up to the front, but he's going to have Jamie Walker right behind him. And then on his outside, he'll have Dwayne Dunn. So he's going to have his hands full here on this start.
Fantastic pit stop by that 39, as he was in 4th before he came in, and also by the number 1 Jacoby. A lot of positions was jockeying there towards the end, but that 39 made a heck of a pit stop that is undeniably good. The outside did not start very well at the very beginning of the race. Will it be the same here? According to Aaron Bennett, when will he go? Green flag is out, and the inside powers off once again in a very similar fashion. That outside line is going to have a hard, tall task before this one's all over to figure out these restarts, as Jamie Walker is going to immediately take that position. The 39 will slide down. Jacoby now battling in the outside of the 31 of Justin Listenby, who's up 5 positions from when he came down in pit road.
Yeah, definitely. And Scott Simley's basically sitting back in the distance, waiting for one of those drivers to get a bit of a run, and that's going to be the 31 of Justin Lisenby, who does so. You're not going to want to be on that outside like Jason Jacoby is stuck up there. As you see, he's just getting past. But meanwhile, up front, we got Aaron Bennett to the front once again, and he's able to pull away, but not as much as he did last time, as he's only 2 tenths ahead of Jamie Walker, and it's closing really fast. Cooper, we're going to have a battle for the lead here in the next few laps.
Number 17's been very hungry the last 2 weeks, so much that he won the last 2 weeks, and it's going to be definitely that 17 truck. No yellow numbers on the side, as he's no longer in the chase for the championship at the end of this USR Truck Series season. But that does not mean you cannot go for wins. That's exactly what he said that he was going to do, is go for the wins, and he's definitely doing that. Battling still going on behind him. The 1 is fighting off the number 5 of Chris Cavu on the inside, and there's a lot of jockeying here at turns number 3, the 01. He's going in the inside. Haven't hardly talked about Dwight Beverly all night, and that number 01, he started from 14th inside the top 10. And he's doing a really good job right now, trying to fend off the 42 of Matt Mara, who's also made a slight comeback from this season. And so definitely a lot of drivers to talk about. And that 42 is going to go at him on the inside, maybe clear him out, and maybe not. They're still side by side at it too.
Yeah, definitely. That 42 is trying to make quick work of that 01 of Dwight Beverly. Dwight Beverly's got to fight off people from all directions. I saw going into 1 that time by Tommy Ryan was trying to sneak up high, while the 42 was trying to sneak down low. So that no 1 machine's doing a great job of trying to hold his line and just let the drivers go wherever they want to. Still back up front, Jamie Walker not quite there on Aaron Bennett quite yet, and that's gonna strengthen.
Whoa, the 01's in the wall. Looks like Dwight Beverly crushed the outside wall trying to make the outside work, and it's not going to work, and he still is having some trouble, and he's actually going to keep it going here coming out of number 4, but that number 01 looked all out of shape, got in the outside wall, and he's still driving that car pretty well, Chris.
Yeah, definitely able to keep it was great car control, I guess is what I'm trying to say, by that 01 to keep it up there and not bounce off the wall down into other drivers. He's going to get cleared by Tommy Ryan this time, and you're going to have the 48 of Michael Waite and Michael Waters in that 55. So Michael's all over the place right here as they're side by side. The battle of the Michaels now as they're trying to get past that's for 13th, just in front of that 01 machine, and they're still side by side. Nobody's wanting to give an inch going down into 1.
Yeah, like I said pre-race, this is a track that really presents a lot of side-by-side action. No matter where you are on the track, there's always an opportunity to try the inside or even try the outside. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. And look at the 27 trying to do something different. He's lost a lot of position since the start of this race. He started in 5th. He's all the way back in 16th. And that's a really hungry driver right now, trying to just make it something possible. He's got to be careful of those chase drivers in front of him. But at the same time, that 27 was really strong last week. And it'd be, I think, for that 27 be, and for as well he did in the early season, to see that truck not be at the top of the, at least at somewhat the top of the grid right now, I think for him personally, it is not really where he wants to be. So look for that 27 to try and get back up towards the front. I know, knowing him, he's definitely hungry to get up there, and rightfully so for as well he's done in this series.
Yeah, and speaking of chase drivers, Coop, Jamie Walker currently finds himself in a sandwich of them as Dwayne Dunn is slowly catching that 17 machine and Aaron Bennett pulling away. So we're seeing Aaron Bennett shades of what he did in that first green flag stint, now just over 6/10 ahead of Jamie Walker, slowly pulling away from that driver as Jamie Walker seems to just have lost some speed or just saving his stuff for the end of the run, but whatever the case, he's fallen off big time back into the clutches of the 39, the 31, and even Scott Simmer back there in the 68.
Talking about that number 3 of Aaron Bennett, he finished second twice. And the time he didn't finish second, he actually almost had a DNF, and that was at New Hampshire. Chicagoland, he had one of the most dominant cars and finished second to Seth Foudy on a late restart. At Dover, he almost got wrecked and then almost had a chance to recover to get the win at Dover, but came up short. Will this be the day that Aaron Bennett gets a win in the playoffs? So I'd say it's going to be a tall task for him, but he has a great car. Anytime he's got a great car, he's been so close, and I don't think he's won this entire season, and he's had so many close calls to winning these races. So that number 3 of Aaron Bennett in a very, very good seat right now, and definitely putting the rest of the field to shame by extending this lead over Jamie Walker.
Yeah, and just checking the stat sheet here, Coop, you are correct. Aaron Bennett has not had a single race win on this season. What he would love to change that here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the round of 9. But luck is definitely not on his side, like you mentioned. He's trying to prove us wrong now, 8/10 ahead of Jamie Walker. He's pulling out really, really well, not wanting to jinx that driver too much here tonight, as now Jamie Walker's got to battle off Dwayne Dunn, as Dwayne Dunn is practically there coming out of 2, but just behind them, Justin Lisenby and Scott Simley. So we're going to have a pretty big pack up here up front in the closing laps here.
Yeah, just outside that top 6, where, or just outside the top 5, Jacoby, Gabu, Gillenwater, Atkins Jr., and Mara, they're really close together right here. And it looks like that for number 44 is going to try the inside of Gillenwater. That's Michael Atkins Jr., and they almost touched going in number 1. And that was very close for both of those drivers. I think the 4 saw how close that was going to be, and just maybe move the wheel to the right just a tiny bit. I think it maybe a little bit of an overreaction, but it was, if they would have touched, that would have been the end of the 4. That was the left rear quarter panel of Gillenwater's truck, and any kind of contact with that area of the car, doesn't matter what kind of racetrack you're at, that's going to send it around with the amount of banking that almost all the tracks that these trucks go to. So close call for those 2 drivers, and number 44 is actually going to get 2 positions to move Michael Atkins Jr. to that 7th position. He started in 25th. Chris, that's a lot of positions.
Yeah, definitely, and just 2 cars behind him. Matt Mara in that 42 machine started 16th. He's up to 10th. That little mess up there that allowed the 42 to catch up to the pack just a little bit, and now right behind him, that's going to be Tommy Ryan, closes up the gap really quick coming out of 2. Looks like that 42 lost some momentum coming off of 4, allowed the 6 to close in the gap. So here's the little pack that I was really hoping for, that we'd get some pretty good racing out of, and they're not disappointing so far.
Battles everywhere, Chris, and it's hard to pick out one in particular that's really striking out. I'm watching that 44. He's really coming up through the field, and looking at Jamie Walker, he's got his rear mirror full of Dwayne Dunn and Lisenby. And Lisenby's been getting up the field pretty fast, and we haven't talked about Justin Lisenby in quite some time. So 31's making a really big impact on this run. And look at the 17. He's going to let the 39 by. Class act by the 17 to let that 39 by, and he may let the 31 by too. That 39 of Dwayne Dunn is really fast, and I think the number 17 of Jamie Walker realized that at that time and decided, I think I'm just going to let him by here. And I think, I don't know if he meant to let the 31 by, but I think the 17 made the big move to really let him by, and he'll maybe be able to get him later. But that's a really cool move to see that 17 do. I think it's just like him to do as well. Not in the chase to really to make an impression, but definitely a cool move, especially for a driver that's in the chase.
Yeah, definitely. It just strengthens the competition in this race. You're moving the drivers who are fighting for the championship closer, and that always makes for great racing because everybody wants to start off a round with a win, and that's what we're going to see here now. That Dwayne Dunn's in second. Going to try to track down Aaron Bennett, but that's going to be a tall order for that 39 machine before the next round of green flag pit stops come underway, as Aaron Bennett's 1.2 seconds ahead of this field, so he's able to open the gap up pretty fast. And right behind him, you were mentioning Jamie Walker. Jamie Walker's now going to be under fire from that 68 of Scott Simley. So Scott Simley is going to be looking to be getting around that 17 car as well, and probably hoping for the same kind of courtesy that 39 machine got before.
Dwight Beverly and Brian Cutts are going to be coming down the pits this time. It looks to be a little bit early, but it does look like it's going to be scheduled pit stops for those two drivers. So the first green flag pit stops of the night. Unsure still if those are 100% scheduled or just maybe trying something different, but definitely you need to keep an eye on those drivers. They're now lapped down, but we'll keep our eye on that as the action continues, and looking just outside or just at the front of those three, second, third, and fourth. That's Dunn, Listenby, and Walker, and they're still bunched up together. Just because Walker let those guys by doesn't mean he's going to keep the pressure on. So those three still very close, and you can see the distinct racing line that the 39 has over the 31, and the 31 over the 17, and I think if the 17 gets side by side with the 31 of Listenby, that's only going to help Dwayne Dunn. He's really been had his neck raised down, and it looks like they almost had contact going in the middle of the corner right there. Look, the 39 came down, the 31 came up just a little bit, and narrowly escaped disaster right there.
Yeah, I caught that just out of the corner of my eye there, Coop. It was really close, just about more of an inch, and they would have been sent around. So good work by those drivers to figuring out that there was a car there and basically pulling out, as now Justin Lisenby is going to be right back on the back bumper, looking to the inside actually of Dwayne Dunn in 1 and 2, and Dwayne Dunn's going to be trying to pinch, and he gets turned by the air and going to be into the outside wall. That's the second chase driver of tonight that's going to get wrecked.
Oh, the 4 is going to crush him.
And the 4 is going to crush right into him, and that will bring out the caution. We'll try to bring up the replay for you real quick here.
Yeah, it looks like the 31 just got right into the right rear of him, and I said if no matter what corner you get into or what track you're at, hitting that is going to send any driver around. It looks like the 39 had done that, and he held the brake like you're supposed to, but I think almost if he would have just let the brake go and maybe slid down to the bottom of the track, that he may have been able to have the 4 avoid him. So a lot of calamity. Looks like that's going to be the 4 of Gillenwater's night and the 39 of Dwayne Dunn's night as well. Those two drivers were doing so well, and I think, you know, we talked about how the 39 and the 4 were kind of silent drivers, and they really started to turn that around. So really a shame, I think, for those drivers to be taken out so early in this race.
Yeah, definitely. And another driver got caught up in the mess, just had nowhere to go off of corner number 2 as the 39 got slammed by the 4 right back up the track. That 6 of Tommy Ryan, who went up and over and slid on his roof down the back straightaway all the way down towards the entrance of turn 3. He went for a wild ride. Now that's going to be the 6's night as well. So definitely a lot of drivers that got taken out, a lot of good drivers too.
Yeah, it looks like the 94 just blew his engine too. Remember, he had the incident on the inside as well. Pit stop's underway right now. It looks like the 31 is going to try and beat out the 3. It's going to be a drag race to that line. I don't know which driver won that one. I think that 3 may have won that. Yeah, it looks like Aaron Bennett is going to win that. And looks like the 31 of Listenby is going to continue to be second. Remember, the rule here in this series is if you cause a caution, then you'll have to go to the rear of the field. While we're under caution, we will take a quick second to take a break and give a shout out to all of our sponsors and take a small commercial break. On the other side, we'll see you here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a three-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Back live here at Charlotte Motor Speedway with LSRTV in the USR Truck Series. Aaron Bennett leads the way with Jamie Walker in second, and it appears that the number 31 of Justin Listenby will get the EOL penalty for causing the wreck that took out the number 39 of Dwayne Dunn and the 4 of Robert Gillenwater, who are chase drivers. So, as many would love for me to say, chase implications are now abound. But up front, Aaron Bennett, he will lead the way with Jamie Walker, Scott Simley, Atkins Jr., and Jacoby. They will round out your top 5 as we are on lap number 55 and over 100 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And these trucks are getting ready to go for the second restart of the night. Aaron Bennett has led all the laps tonight. Can anyone take over this lead? And it looks like he's got a lot of new challengers behind him. When will that number 3 of Aaron Bennett go? He goes now. Green flag is in the air, and the outside actually gets a good run this time. Will it be enough to clear the 68 of Scott Simley? Not quite. He's going to look, and not quite. 68's going to have the nose on the bottom, and they're going to be side by side for number 2.
Yeah, the outside is definitely where you are, or is not where you want to be on the start, as is proven time and time again. The 7 is going to lose a few positions here if that 68 and the 44 can get by him, and that's going to move chase drivers to 1 and 2 as he clears them off of turn 4. So things are about to get interesting here. Still a lot of racing left to go, but any chase racing is good racing, as I always like to say, because it always matters. Everything is on the line for these 2 drivers up here in 1 and 2, and there's a few drivers back here that are in the chase inside the top 10. Michael Walters, he's back there in 8th. So definitely a few drivers up here that can make a difference for their chase, their championship hopes here tonight.
Yeah, if you're up front and you don't know about those 3 drivers in the chase that have wrecked, you might think to yourself, well, I could back off a little bit, but you could get the most points because there's still Talladega next week that could really ruin your chances of making this chase. So a lot of those drivers out now are just going to hope that maybe somebody else has an ill-handling time. Look at the race lead here. The number 68 of Scott Simley going to try and make the move on the 3 of Aaron Bennett. Bennett has almost been completely uncontested this entire run. But at the short runs is where he's most vulnerable. That number 3 is going to try and get these guys away from him here soon. But he's done just that out of 2 as the 17 of Jamie Walker's putting the pressure on the 68 of Scott Simley down the back straightaway. As the 44 is also living with Jason Jacoby right behind him.
Yeah, definitely. Scott Simley lost a huge amount of momentum off of turn 2, and that allowed Aaron Bennett to pull out that gap like we've seen time and time again. And that's pulled the 68 right back in the 17's clutches. So definitely interesting here. We'll see if that 68 can get right back up to the back bumper of Aaron Bennett. But Aaron Bennett's been so dominant here tonight at Charlotte. And you mentioned Talladega. And that's what I like to call a wild card, because you could be on the highest of highs leaving Charlotte. You could be the race winner in the championship and go to Talladega and get taken out lap 5, and you're basically back at it again, having to work at Kansas. So I never want to say that you've got it if you do well at Charlotte, because Talladega is a whole other monster.
4 drivers have taken their haulers outside of the track, and that's going to be Justin Michael, Brian Cutts, Bobby Terrell, and Dwight Beverly. Beverly just took it behind the wall and is going to be exiting the track. Back on track, though, looks like the number 1 of Jason Jacoby just got around Atkins Jr. for 4th position right there, and that's going to leave that 44 with a little bit of bitter taste in his mouth. Got all the way up there in the top 5, and he just lost a position, so 44 has done an absolutely amazing job getting himself 20-plus positions, but I think he got himself up there and looked really strong for that the top 3 at the time. So definitely looking at that number 44, as he's got 20 positions, biggest mover. Actually, he's our tied for our biggest mover, as Tristan Beats is up 20 positions as well from 30th to 10th.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned how Jason Jacoby is always so good in the later portions of this race, and as the race goes on, well, look at him now, 4th. We were just talking earlier how he was holding up a whole pack of drivers. Now he's catching Jamie Walker in that 17 machine to go battle for that 3rd place position. So Jason Jacoby's definitely flipping the switch on now. And as for Aaron Bennett, he's kind of slowed off here a little bit, Coop. I don't know whether he's saving his stuff for the long run or just missing a beat here, but the 68 of Scott Simley is going to be right back on the back bumper of the 3, and we're going to have a battle for the lead going off in the 1.
And it's getting pretty close as these drivers are starting to make it almost identical laps. Number 1 get under the 17 of Jamie Walker, and he's going to have to concede that right there out of turns 2. Try again another day, as this has been the closest that we've really seen anybody to that lead position, and quite frankly, it's hard to see if anyone's been really to make a move. Looks like the move for 3rd position, the number 1 of Jacoby. He's going to make that move on the inside of Jamie Walker, and they are going to be side by side going to 1, but it's going to be no contest at 17. Maybe going to try the outside, but it's not going to work out quite yet. And we've seen some great racing. We've seen some great drivers start to come up the field, but something I think what we really have to take that to is the dynamic track that iRacing has brought. Something that we've seen designed for dirt, but also works equally as well to the asphalt side. The track is always changing, and if you're Jacoby, it didn't work out for you at the very beginning. It just wasn't 100% working, and you had to try for something different. The very bottom is looking where it's at right now, but I'd say as this race moves on, we're getting close to halfway. But as the race rolls on, it's going to probably move up a little bit, and that's when you can really see some really good side-by-side racing. We saw earlier, the bottom starting to really get grouped in, then it's going to start to slick out, and then that top side, that middle line is going to really start to come in as well.
Yeah, and looking at the lap times here, Coop, Aaron Bennett seems to be the slowest out of your top 3 right now, and it's proven kind of, you can actually see that on screen as Scott Simley's closed in the gap. Now Jason Jacoby on the back bumper of that 68 machine going off into 3. Jason Jacoby is on rails at this moment in time. He's found something in that number 1 Domino Chevy Silverado, and he's going to be looking towards the inside, going across the stripe this time. Not going to quite be there. They're going off into turns 1. We'll see if he looks for it again. No, he's just going to hold back behind that 68 machine, saving just a little bit here.
Yeah, that number 1 of Jacoby was the fastest among the top drivers, really, and he's going to have to back down a little bit. When you try a move like that, when you try and get on the inside and you have to keep holding it, or you have to get out of the gas just a little bit, it does hurt your tires just a little bit. You're making squeal a bit, you're a little warmer than usual, and you have to really back off to get those tires back to the temperatures they were when you were fast. That last time by, he was one of the slowest, of course, trying to make that move, but now he's almost thinking like 10th off after trying to make that move, and you can see him just start to really start to slide off. And you said it earlier, tire management is really what's going to make or break this race, especially with the long green flag runs that we're having. We're probably going to have green flag runs here in this race, and which is going to be the biggest determining factor of who wins this race. But if you can make your tires last longer, it may be able to give you a better chance at deciding your pit strategy. If you're not doing a good job of conserving, you're going to have to do that short pit option because you don't have the tires at all, let alone to stay out, and then you're going to have to pit more often, and that might not work out. So definitely tire conservation, like you said, Chris. Big picture tonight.
Yeah, of course, Coop, as we pretty much stayed out here in the top 5, is Aaron Bennett's able to pull away a lot more on Scott Simley. Scott Simley's been having to fend off the 1 of Jason Jacoby. Now Jason Jacoby is going to lose a lot of movement coming off of 2, and that's going to close the door for the 17 of Jamie Walker now. Going down the back straightaway, Jamie Walker shading it inside, not going to quite be there this time as they're going through 4. A huge amount of momentum for that 1 as he's going to now catch the 68, and Aaron Bennett's got to be loving this 3-car battle as he's just able to pull away now through 4 tenths ahead of the 68.
This isn't the first time we've seen a 3-way battle for second, and of course that battle's starting to dwindle down to just the 3rd place position. You see the side-by-side battle for that number 3 position starting to shape up. Jamie Walker showing the nose. He doesn't quite have it, but the 1's going to let him actually have it right there, and not a bad deal for that number 17 to try and maybe get back on the inside, try and make it work. But it doesn't look like Jacoby's completely letting him go, but he's going to be able to clear him right there, and that does give some pretty big space between all of those drivers. Like you said, exactly what you want here in these goings of the race. So if you're the leader of Aaron Bennett, you can either say this is a really good thing or a really bad thing that they just had that battle, because now Scott Simley is all by himself. There's no one knocking behind him, and he is faster than him. Consistently, just about every lap, he's picking just a little bit more speed off. But now he's lost a little bit of draft. That's something we don't really talk about at a track like this. Down the back straightaway, it's just all go at you. And that number 68, he's not as close to the number 3 as the 17 is to him. So definitely see that 17 is going to catch him before. And that's a huge factor. Scott Simley was not as fast as the number 3 of Aaron Bennett that last time. And that's definitely something to think about as well.
Yeah, definitely. Draft is a huge factor here at a track like Charlotte, especially in these trucks, as you see Jamie Walker quickly closing that gap on the 68 machine. So the 68 got a little bit of breathing room and was able to focus on his laps, and he did kind of cut down that lead on Aaron Bennett just a tad, but now he's going to have to focus on behind him as Jamie Walker's closing the gap. He's able to power off of turn 2 really well. I've noticed that out of that 17 machine, he's able to power right off of the corners really well, a lot better than the driver in front of him, as he's going to be right on the back bumper coming off of turn 4. I'm going to be looking to see that 17 make a move going into 1, because has a full head of steam with that draft that we just talked about. He's going to be shading the inside, not going to quite be there this time. Scott Simley going to be able to keep second going through turns 1 and 2.
A common denominator I've been seeing is that driver in 3rd keeps on being the fastest driver. Now, I'm just curious maybe if it is because of that drafting factor here in this going of the race. Looking at that number 31 that you saw all those leaders pass, that's going to be, looks like it's going to be the number, it's going to be Justin Listenby, who had a mechanical failure on the car, had to come down and get that fixed. So definitely back on the track with fresh tires. He's going to be able to pass these guys, but he's 7 laps down, so not a factor in the racing. But look in front of them. Look at the 17 of Jamie Walker. He's going to get around that number 68 of Scott Simley easily, and he is very fast right now. And all those guys are really starting to hunt down your leader of Aaron Bennett, and maybe it's not going to be a long time before they catch him. Maybe that 3 car is starting to lose it a little bit. And this is the closest we've seen these guys to that number 3 car in a long while. 2/10 is the answer right there.
Yeah, definitely. As we saw that basically a slingshot move that Jamie Walker was able to pull on Scott Simley, as Aaron Bennett's going to be losing a lot of time to Jamie Walker. Now going off into 3, Jamie Walker's going to be right on the back bumper of that 3 machine, and not going to quite be there quite yet, but he'll be there going into 1.
Showing the nose, knowing he's not a chase driver, he's going to at least show that he's going to make the move before he does it. He doesn't have it right there, but he's very close. He's definitely the faster driver at this time, And what you got to think about if you're Jamie Walker is you got to make this quick and painless if you want the 3 to at least be able to stay in front of the 68. Whether maybe you really care or not, that's going to be a different story. But we have seen that be for the 17. Matters not, though. The 68 of Scott Simley called down to pit road, scheduled to stop for that number 68. This might be the start. Ashton Crowder also is coming down as well. And we're going to see maybe a few more drivers as well.
Yeah, as we got a battle for the lead, Jamie Walker, for the first time tonight, going to be able to clear Aaron Bennett coming off of 2. Aaron Bennett's going to be right there, though, powering back off of 2, going to be looking towards the inside. New leader, Jamie Walker, can he take the lap at the line? He definitely will. He's going to be able to power off Aaron Bennett, looking towards pit road, it looks like. And yes, that number 3 machine is going to be taking that commitment cone, as we got the replay for the pass right here. You just saw just going into 1. And coming through the tri-oval, basically, Jamie Walker was able to get underneath that 3 and able to just power past him. Looks like a scheduled stop to that 3, so green flag pit stops are upon us.
It was a great pass for that number 17, but at the same time, if you're him and you see that number 3 go down pit road, you have to wonder yourself if that was planned and just let him by, knowing that he was so close to him. So you could take that with a grain of salt, or you could take it as you passed him quite easily. That 17 truck's going to stay out there with Jacoby, Atkins Jr., Gabo, and Waters. They're your top 5. A lot of drivers are coming down and have come down pit road, and it's going to be a lot of counting to do. Here's where it starts to get difficult for us, and a little bit easier for some of these drivers, as pit stops are going to start, and we're going to be on a cycle. This is the most, I think this is the real fun that we get to have at Charlotte, is the fact that we have to really pick and see which strategies, and maybe see which one's going to work a little bit more. I'd say that the short strategy has the potential, the long strategy has the potential, and the middle kind of does too. It's all about waiting to see which one happens.
Yeah, definitely. Anything can pretty much happen at this point, as we're just like now reaching halfway here, Coop. So it makes sense for all these drivers to come down pit road at the halfway mark and try to get the green flag pit stops out of the way. You see the 17 catching that 22. That's the chase driver of Seth Bounty, who was involved in a wreck earlier this evening. He's going to be slow off the pace, so he's going to maneuver around that 22 machine. Not going to be too much of a challenge for that 17 Jamie Walker, though, as he's going to as Jason Jacoby's going to close the gap a lot, coming behind using the draft of the 31. That's Justin Elizabeth. So Jason Jacoby going to be there now with the 17, as green flag pit stops are still happening right now.
Jacoby's going to come down this time by, so that number 1 Domino's machine, he's going to make his trek down pit road. And maybe someone else here, it's going to be Steve Herring, who comes down from 4th place. And I think that's going to be it for now. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be it for now. And just about everyone, looks like the top 8 still have to come, or the top 6 still have to come in. Jamie Walker's still trying to make it work out, but it looks like maybe he's going to be coming down this time. Not yet. The 17 is going to still stay out.
Yeah, and you can't afford to stretch it too much longer, Coop, or you start to lose time. You'll lose all that time, and him leading right now will not matter, and it's basically just a waiting game, like you mentioned, because now that everybody behind him is pretty much pit, he's basically the only one out there that's on old tires. We got a few other stragglers like Justin Kleiber, Greg Mall, Michael Atkins Jr., who's and they're all pretty much in the back. You know, Justin Kleiber started 23rd, Michael Atkins started 25th. So they're all trying their last-ditch effort to get up there. But for Jamie Walker, who started 4th and has been up front and battling for the lead all day, it just doesn't make any sense for this driver to stay out here, because you got Scott Simley only a car now right back behind him.
It's possible that he's trying to make that fuel run a little bit longer, maybe try only 1 stop here. It does appear that most of these drivers that pit early are going to have to do 2. Jamie Walker can get away with 1. Perhaps that's going to be the preferred one for him. Of course, you also have 3 other drivers, Greg Mall, Kleiber, and Vorst, who are actually going to be coming down soon. But when they do come down, we'll have to see. We see Greg Mall do this strategy often, along with a couple other drivers as well. Kleiber and Vorst, they were pretty far back. They were 15 and 9 seconds behind the leader during all of this. And it's not a surprise to see that these guys maybe are trying to wait for a caution to come out. That happens, they're going to have a really good time of getting some great track position 5 drivers on the lead lap right now. It's all a matter of when they come down. Looks like 6 drivers is going to be it, and Jamie Walker's down.
Yeah, Jamie Walker just coming down pit road as he was just getting passed by that 3 of Aaron Bennett. So that just gives you a little bit of a sense of how much time that 17 actually lost by staying out there. He was able to pass Aaron Bennett for the lead, and Aaron Bennett was able to unlap himself as Jamie Walker was coming back down. So Jamie Walker lost a ton of time to Aaron Bennett, who will be your leader, it looks like, when everything cycles out. Maybe not, maybe Scott Simley. That's probably going to be your leader when everything cycles out here. So great move by that 68 to short pit, and he's out there in front right now.
Looks like Michael Atkins Jr. has now come down pit road, which will give the lead to the 12 of Greg Mall, who is the only driver, it looks like, on the track on the lead lap originally to not come down at this point. And Greg Mall, of course, one of your championship drivers, looking to do what he can to maybe try the long pit and see how that works out. He's going to come down pit road. This time, he's going to be the last driver to come down, and that will cycle all the pit stops.
Yeah, and that was a very, very close call between him and 2 other drivers. Seth Foudy was side by side with another driver, and that made it a very, very close situation. But as he comes down, that's going to cycle everything back through, and Scott Simley will assume that lead position after a short pit, and then Aaron Bennett will be second.
Yeah, Greg Mall coming down, and only be a matter of time before it cycles through. And Scott Simley will be getting that lead. And like you said, a really good idea to come down and get that short pit up and over with. The only bad thing about it is if it goes on a long green flag run, maybe green flag to the end, this short pit might not work as well as they thought. But likelihood in this series is that they do have a caution in the late goings of a race. So definitely something that they're really hoping for, and maybe even really praying for, I'd say. Maybe a lot of those guys up front, maybe the guys who should be pit much earlier. So things to think about as we go to the midway race break tonight, and look at the midway race break brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation. Developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service, iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing, with officially sanctioned racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and more. Chris, this is our LSRTV full field rundown at the moment of halfway. Scott Simley, he leads the way. Aaron Bennett, you're not in second, Chris. Aaron Bennett, he's in second. Ashton Crowder in third. Huge rebound from that number 27. Jason Jacoby, he's in fourth, and Chris Cabu, he is in fifth.
Yeah, definitely, Coop. I have raced in this series before, but definitely never been up in second. Sixth is going to belong to Michael Waters. Tristan Beats is going to be seventh. Eighth goes to Skylar Grissom. Ninth, Jamie Walker. 10th is Shane Hoffer.
Brandy Oakham is in that 11th position with Matt Mara right behind him in 12th. Michael Atkins Jr. 13th. Steve Herring is in the 14th position, and Michael Waite, he is rounding out the top 15.
16th belongs to Kenneth Dale Osborne. Randy Tesser, 17th. 18th belongs to that driver we just saw forfeit the lead. That's Greg Moe. 19th, Justin Cliver. Ralph Vander Forset, and that 66 is 20th.
21st starts the multiple lap down drivers. George Hendricks in the 21st position. Justin Listenby had mechanical failures early, got them fixed. He's 5 laps down. Seth Bowdy, chase driver, is 6 laps down. Bobby Terrell, he's in the 25th position, out of the race. Tommy Ryan, all these drivers are out of the race, actually, is in 26th. Dwayne Dunn, chase driver, in 27th. Robert Gillenwater, another chase driver, in 28th. Brian Cutts in 29th. And Justin Michael will finish out the day in the very last position. This has been a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. For a limited time, you can now visit iRacing.com/World of Outlaws and take advantage of some exclusive promo codes to get yourself on iRacing with a 1-year membership for half off. Or you can simply try it with a 3-year membership for less than $5. Again, that's iRacing World of Outlaws, and to get any experience of iRacing for $5 is pretty unique. You get a ton of content that really you could. I mean, for 3 months you can at least try everything once a week, and maybe you still have some more things to do on the service, including some of the new features, including time trial that are coming soon. So definitely something to think about here, Chris.
Yeah, definitely. And dirt's always a fun thing to experience, especially now that everything has shaken out. You know, it's very, very interesting to see that short pit happen, because now Aaron Bennett's going to be right behind Scott Simley. As Scott Simley's going to get passed by the 34 of George Hendricks. That's a lapped car, so George Hendricks is going to unlap himself. That's going to bring Aaron Bennett right to the back bumper of Scott Simley. So maybe the short pit really didn't work out for him, as he's about to have to fend off that 3 machine who's been so dominant here today.
Look at the 3 of Aaron Bennett. He's on the inside of the 68 of Scott Simley. Battle for the lead as the number 3 is going to go to the very bottom of the track. He'll be neck and neck going into the corner. The 68 has a lot of room, but it may not work out. The 3 on the very bottom of the track, they're going to be nose to nose here at the line. The 68 is going to continue to lead the way on the outside. I said it earlier, the outside might start to prevail, but he may not be able to keep it for long as the 3 has fresher tires.
Yeah, definitely. As he's able to really power off that high side, and they're going to be still side by side. Nobody wanted to give an inch, but that run on the high side is going to propel Scott Simley off into turns 3, but Aaron Bennett's going to get that right back. Still going to be side by side. Nobody's wanting to give an inch, and we've only just now crossed the lap 100 mark, so still 67 laps to go here tonight, and this is only a bit of a taste of what we'll see as the laps wind down here. Still side by side. Nobody's wanting to give up at all.
It's looking troublesome for these drivers, but they finally figure out. New leader, Aaron Bennett. He will finally clear the 68 of Scott Simley. That was a lot of time lost by both of those drivers going side by side for so long. They really let Ashton Crowder and Jacoby catch up quite a bit, but as they're now single filed out, it'll be something to think about, and something to remember as they battled for 3 straight laps, or 2.5 straight laps side by side, and that's not easy at a track like this. We see a lot of it here in the middle of the pack, and you kind of have to give and take, but when you're going for the lead, it's kind of an all-out deal, knowing that you're still going for the chase. That's still on the minds of these drivers of getting that win, and Aaron Bennett, I know, really wants one.
Yeah, definitely. If there was one driver I could imagine that wants a win here tonight, it would be that 3, to take off that burden of not winning a race. But you mentioned that that battle allowed Ashton Crowder and Jason Jacoby to catch back up. But when there's a 3-second gap, I'm pretty sure you can afford to have a little bit of fun and battle side by side for a few laps, and that's what we saw there. But now Aaron Bennett going back to the ways he has before, just dominating as he's back down pit road. Look at this. The 3 of Aaron Bennett now going to be the one who short pits. That's going to move Scott Simley right back up to the lead.
Unsure about this stop for the number 3. It's very early in the run, especially since he just got that lead from the 68 of Scott Simley. I'm very interested to see what the call is going to be on this car, whether it's going to be right side, left sides, both, or what have you. It looks like those right sides are going to go jacked up, and whether the left sides get jacked up too, yes, they will be, as he continues to be installed. So 4 tires and fuel for the number 3. Maybe he can go the rest of the way. This is another strategy. Call it Plan C here for that number 3.
Yeah, definitely, and that's a weird call for that number 3 machine of Aaron Bennett. That's going to drop him all the way back to possibly right there in 18th, a lap down. So he's got a whole lot of work to do now, as Scott Simley's basically controlling this field now, even though Jason Jacoby's able to cut down that lead from about 3 seconds to now 2 seconds. So he's knocked off a chunk of that lead off of Scott Simley within the past like 5 laps, because last time I checked it was like 2.8, and now it's just a solid 2 seconds. So be looking for that one machine to be powering back and maybe have a chance to get up there with Scott Simley.
More drivers electing to come down pit road early. That seems to be a theme right now. And the 27 of Ashton Crowder, he is one of the drivers who also came down pit road. So it's going to be a wild amount of different plans that these drivers are going to see. And I say this one might come down to fuel before it's all over, Chris, which in my opinion, I've never been able to really see one play out that way, but I think it's going to be one of my favorite ones to see what fuel really pans out to be. Of course, you gotta hope that ever-looming caution, maybe it comes, maybe it doesn't, but there's always that always kind of looms in the back of these drivers' minds. Stay out, because you might get the benefit of that. Looks like the 5 of Chris Cabot. He's going to come down pit road and give up that spot on track. He was in the top 5 at the time in 4th place, so a lot of different strategies, a lot of different times these drivers are coming down pit road. It doesn't seem like anybody's really on the same page.
Yeah, definitely. And we look back at that one of Jason Jacoby. We're starting to see the tires come into effect for Scott Simley as he's coming down under the white stripe for the pit road. Jason Jacoby gonna take the leader, and the lead now for the first time tonight to move that Domino's machine, who's been on rails. He was able to maybe cut off about 5/10 a lap on Scott Simley. That's how much those tires had worn off, because he was at 2, then he was at 1.5, and now he's your leader, so that one machine is sitting in one position.
So what I was thinking here, Chris, is with these drivers pitting now, if they can make it all the way, which would be a slight stretch, but I think they can actually make it from here. Whether they're going to be fast or not, I don't think that is. I don't know if that matters to some of these drivers, but they will be a lot slower. Something to think about, though, however, is that there typically is a later caution in the late goings of every single race in the chase so far. What these drivers might be thinking is that, hey, I'll pit now, and I'll just keep going until the fuel cell is empty, whether it's at the end of the race or whether I just burn out of fuel. I have nothing to lose. I have 3 other drivers that are out of contention, and only 14 drivers on the lead lap. Come down pit road now, continue to stay out, and maybe get a caution and get great position later. If that is the idea going through these drivers' head, I'd be surprised, but that's what I think.
And I'm thinking that's exactly what all these other drivers are thinking too, because if you look at the leaderboard, there are only 8 cars now on the lead lap, so the majority of this field is following suit with Aaron Bennett and short pitting and maybe trying to stretch it and possibly hope for that late race caution that can always happen here at Charlotte, and any track for that matter. Anything can happen now, and it's just thrown a big wild card as more drivers are coming down pit road. Now 7 cars on the lead lap.
And I think it's going to be less of a short pit and more of the shortest pit versus the short pit versus the kind of short pit versus the Jamie Walker pit, because he pit way later on, as we noted, and he's now in second behind Jason Jacoby. Like you said, only a few drivers, or a good handful of drivers, I should say, 7 drivers. Matt Mara is 7th, and he's getting close to being lapped down here, just a few more seconds, and it's going to be an interesting one to see, and I think it's going to maybe take a few moments to really calculate exactly who can really make it from this point. I think the 17 is in one of the best positions. Jacoby's coming down pit road this time, so that's one less driver on the lead lap as we cross lap 114, and we'll take this moment to step aside, configure everything that's going out, and maybe wait for all these drivers to make a full round of pit stops, come back on the other side with our heads straight here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. back live here at Charlotte Motor Speedway and LSR TV with USR BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. Jamie Walker leads the way, but not without a little bit of strategy. He's going to be coming down pit road this time by to give it up, as almost everyone else has come down pit road. The 44 of Michael Atkins Jr. will continue to take over that lead, I think for the first time tonight, get some bonus points under that guy's belt. And then he'll be the only car not to come down pit road, and he will hold Aaron Bennett from getting that lead, and many, many others a lap down here at the Charlotte Speedway.
Yeah, definitely. And what a move by that 3 of Aaron Bennett, who kind of short pit and basically brought everybody else down with him because nobody else wanted to be the odd man out. So Aaron Bennett basically played the whole field into his hands. He's now 3rd in that number 3 machine, and he was even able to get by Scott Simley under those green flag pit stops, and Scott Simley is now 2 seconds behind Aaron Bennett. So Aaron Bennett basically controlling this entire race just like he's done all race. He's been very dominant and pretty much the dominant car here tonight. Moving up to 2nd, Michael Atkins Jr. Still not coming down pit road. It looks like as he's coming through 3 and 4 this time, he's going to duck down, and not quite. No, 44 is still going to stay out there. So questionable decision by that 44 machine.
I think it's going to be the strategy between the 3 of Aaron Bennett and the 17 of Jamie Walker. They both seem to be at the very top of the charts when it comes to each strategy. The 3's got that shorter pit, the 17's got that longer pit, and I just cannot. I think the 3 is going to be able to really make it. I think the tires are really where it's at. But the 17 of Jamie Walker makes a convincing run for that second plan. For plan B, really, when you consider how long he stayed out and the fact that he doesn't have to come down pit road anymore. And he's going to be one of the fastest trucks on track now that he just came down pit road, and he's in the top 10. He's in 9th place, 20 seconds behind race leader Michael Atkins Jr. Oh, and then by the way, Michael Atkins Jr. just came down pit road, so then chop all those leads down by 10 seconds. So that's going to be only about 13 seconds behind your race leader, who may actually have to come down pit road. So he's going to have to sift through all this traffic, and it might take a while, but that driver makes a very convincing plan B.
And we have a new leader now, Scott Simley, able to power by Aaron Bennett, coming through 3 and 4. That was an amazing move, able to cut down the lead on that 3 machine. I was just talking about how Aaron Bennett did a very good job on pit stops to get by that 68. Will move that 68 back up to the front. Remember, that 68 machine pit a lap after that 3 machine of Aaron Bennett, so that means the 68, even though it's just a lap, those tires do matter, and you can already see that 68 starting to bump up the lead just a little bit. Aaron Bennett starting to fall off, so Scott Simley, your new leader. So we'll have to see. Aaron Bennett, Jamie Walker. Well, I'm also going to throw that 68 of Scott Simley in that mess and see how he plays out for the rest of this race.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. The 68 just drove by the 3 like he was standing still, and it was. I think that 68 has a little bit under the hood that we weren't expecting, or really more or less under the wheel wells. These tires are really where it's at, and you've got to think to yourself, if you're the number 3, what did you do wrong? Because he's been dominating the race pretty well, led all the laps until we had green flag pit stops, and since then hasn't really been able to have the hold on the entire field. He's been doing a really good job keeping himself in the top 3 the entire race, except for those cycles of pit stops, but right now finds himself just short, about half a second behind the race leader of Scott Simley. And that's a really particular situation when you've led all those laps and you've been out there leading the entire race, and now you get to play second place and really just hope that maybe something changes. And Scott Simley is absolutely driving away. He upped the ante 3/10 on Aaron Bennett right there, and it's only going to get larger before the night gets over.
And that's something that we've seen all too well here in the USR Truck Series and on LSRTV, and something Aaron Bennett's all too familiar with, having the best car through the majority of the entire race, and then something happening towards the end, and he ends up playing that bridesmaid. So it's just definitely a game of cat and mouse for Aaron Bennett. Now he's going to have to do something, maybe change up his strategy just a little bit, because now he's 1.2 seconds behind Scott Simley. Scott Simley right now on rails. So Aaron Bennett's definitely going to have to try something here.
Yeah, strategy's not really playing out for some of these guys, and the one guy it is starting to play out for is the 68. But I'm starting to look at the 17 of Jamie Walker, and he's really falling off quite a bit. And I'm curious because I was talking about how he might have another plan that we may not see, and his truck is going quite a bit slower. So perhaps he is saving fuel, perhaps he is saving tires. Or perhaps I have no clue what that 17 is doing because it is not gaining any speed, and he should have the freshest tires on the track. So definitely particular to see what Jamie Walker is doing. He just fell off by another second, and it's clear that that truck is not going 100%.
Yeah, definitely. You also got to throw in the factor of lap traffic. There's cars all over this track, all sorts of drivers on all sorts of different strategies. So he could just be struggling back there. And if we're looking at the 17 machine right now, I take that back because he's all by himself. No struggle out the back end of Jamie Walker. He's basically all by himself. So who knows? It could be a tire issue, Coop, like you mentioned, because tires do matter a whole lot, and he's basically probably just saving those for the longer run because there are a lot of laps left to go. You got to go a long 30-some laps on these tires, so it's best to just play them off. But Aaron Bennett falling now 2 seconds off the pack, and he's slowly falling back into Ashton Crowder's clutches, who we haven't really talked about since maybe the halfway point of this race. He's basically just been sitting back minding his own business, but he's slowly falling back to that 27.
Although if I was to be a betting man, and the driver that's won the last 3 or 4 races, it'd be Jamie Walker. And I don't know if I'd bet against him right now, but I'm sure there's a method to the madness of that 17 truck, because he's just the way that truck is going. He's not going up to the very top. It's just a very particular thing that I'm just starting to notice. So definitely gonna keep an eye on him as it goes on. I just have a feeling that these drivers up front were probably gonna come down pit road at some point, but the more I think about it, I think Scott Simley, if he can make it on fuel the rest of the way, he might as well just stay out. He's got himself a good sizable lead. And maybe these drivers don't need to come down pit road as we're getting close to about 30 laps to go. With the way that 17's starting to fall back, and the way some of these drivers that pit later, I think it's not going to be a bad idea for these guys maybe to call an audible, stay out there, and not have to worry about it. Save their stuff, save their fuel, save their tires, and I'll see how it goes up. We'll find out soon. If they pit soon, it will definitely showcase what's going to be happening for the rest of the race, because if they don't pit the next 10 laps, I'd say they're going all the way.
Yeah, definitely. It's basically coming down to the make or break moments in this race. The race is blown by for me. It's been a lot of action-packed, a lot of strategy, which I like to see in races. Coop is strategy where green flag pit stops play into play, and we've seen that here tonight, and it's basically flown by for me. I'm having a blast here tonight. So Scott Simley about 3 seconds of a lead now on Aaron Bennett. So I'm going to guess that driver is probably, set his hand, he's ready for it, and he's ready to ride it on home, and I don't see why he would do anything else other than just stick out there. He can make it, and he's definitely got the speed to do it. As long as he can keep the tires under the truck, he'll be in good shape.
Look around right outside the top 10. Jamie Walker and company. Randy Yoakum's going to try it on the outside. The 11 of Randy Shane Hoth, their names moved around a little bit. And other drivers going right by him. So those drivers still battling for position right there too, just outside the top, or just now inside the top 10. As they just got right by Jamie Walker. So looking at those drivers to try and up their position. Randy Yoakum trying to get back to where he was. Started 10th, really fell back quite a bit, and seeing if he can get right back there. Look at the inside there. The number 12 of Greg Wall trying to get under Steve Herring. He's going to get the job done at the start-finish line. So battle still happening over the track, a little bit farther back in the pack, but still battles everywhere, like we said earlier in the race.
Yeah, you'll always be able to find a battle at a track like Charlotte. Just looking, Greg Mall now inside the 2 of Randy Yoakum going into turns 3 and 4. They're going to be side by side. Greg Mall going to make quick work of Randy Yoakum. Going to get straight by him, move that driver up inside the top 10. Now he's in 9th. So definitely all over the place. We go just in front of him. Matt Mara is going to be past going to be trying to get around lap traffic. So drivers all, cars all over the place. As we got cars down pit road once again. That's going to be the car that was in third, Ashton Crowder, coming off pit road.
Not only that, but race leader Scott Simley is also down. So there was a method to the madness of 17 of Jamie Walker, as these guys are going to have to come down this time. And many more drivers are going to as well. Jacoby, another driver, the number 3 of Aaron Bennett, also down pit road. I think this is going to complete all the stops that'll be. Scott Simley coming off pit road now, as the number 1 is still on the left sides. The number 1 of Aaron Bennett just now gets off of pit road. So the cycle of pit stops now coming to fruition. And who is going to make this strategy work? I do not foresee that 17 truck of Jamie Walker coming down pit road anytime soon. And I'm just waiting to see how this turns out. This is going to get interesting, Chris.
Yeah, definitely. The engine is going on and off in that 17 machine. If we're able to kind of, get it closer to that, you'll be able to hear it. And he's basically saving fuel, so I think he's made his bed and he's going to lay in it here tonight, going to try to save as much fuel. But if we're looking at it, we just passed and we're just now under 30 to go. So these drivers that are coming down pit road will have the tires and will have the time, if they can execute it just right, to get back up to that 17. So right now we're basically in the passenger seat, and it's just a waiting game for us up here in the booth to see how this race unfolds.
It's not going to be very long. The 68 of Scott Simley is coming. 17 of Jamie Walker. I don't think this is going to be the strategy to work out anymore. He's only ahead of him by 3 seconds, and Jamie Walker is still trying that engine shut-off trick. I don't think that's going to work for the 17 anymore. It looked like it might work earlier, but I'm going to have to eat those words now. 17 of Jamie Walker is not going to be up at the lead for very long. Look at that 68 of Scott Simley. He's going to pass him on the outside here in the tri-oval, and no contest. Scott Simley going to get that position easily, and he'll take the provisional lead away from the 17. As interesting as I thought it was going to be, just not enough fuel in the tank for the 17 of Jamie Walker.
Yeah, definitely. And with that information we got from our lovely producer Cisco of him shutting the car on and off, that could definitely attribute to the speed loss there. So it's definitely a questionable decision by the 17. Is he still going to stay out here as Scott Simley is going to be able to resume the presumable lead once everything cycles through. We still got that 44 of Michael Atkins Jr. coming through 3 and 4, about a whole track ahead of Scott Simley. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. But Scott Simley, somebody who we didn't really think about the entirety of this race. We had put our money on Aaron Bennett and Jamie Walker. Well, now here's Scott Simley to play spoiler for the rest of the race.
Just over 20 laps to go here, and this race is starting to really kind of mesh out here. I guess you could say we're rolling out the dough here, and everything's starting to look a little bit easier to see the picture, the complexion of this race that it's going to end on. Scott Simley looks to be having a whale of a day right now. Not one of the drivers that we saw at the beginning of the race to be extremely strong, but definitely made the right calls at the right time, and it's starting to pay off. And it looks like Aaron Bennett right now, if he doesn't get any help here, and by help I mean a caution, of course, and not to jinx it, but that 3 truck is just a little bit behind. Michael Atkins Jr. still has to come down pit road. He's about 15 seconds in front of these drivers. It's going to take a lot from that 3 truck to really make this work. He came down at the same time as Scott Simley. He's either going to have to save or push just the right amount at this time, and a lot of the other drivers are going to have to as well. And I do believe the 17 of Jamie Walker is now fully up to speed again. So Jamie Walker, he's going to be taking the provisional 3rd place. He's 4th now as the 44 will eventually have to come down pit road. And look at the drivers behind him. Look at Crowder and look at Jacoby. They have come back from a lot of adversity, especially that 27 who had fallen back so early in the race after having such a great starting position. 5th on the starting grid, 5th now, and he's back on the back door of the 17. And it's not going to be long before those two get by each other, or the 27 gets by him, and it's going to be a little bit easier. That 17's been on those old tires for quite some time. It's just going to be no contest. Ashton Crowder for 4th place.
Yeah, definitely here, Coop, as I'm looking at this 3 of Aaron Bennett. who, if you look back earlier, does have the fresher tires on Scott Simley. He came in maybe a lap or two later on Scott Simley, so he's got that lead down to just a little bit over a second now, Coop. So he could maybe pull something out of here. It's going to be a stretch, and he's definitely running out of time here tonight, but definitely closing in the gap a little bit as Scott Simley still trying to work through Michael Atkins Jr. comes by pit road this time, not coming down, so that driver's still out there on the field. Got about a 12-second gap back to Scott Simley.
Yeah, we talked about Atkins Jr. earlier in the broadcast, how he was the biggest mover this entire race. Is right now when he pits. He'll give that up to Tristan Beets, who was up 21 positions from 30th to 9th, which is a very, very good job, well done for that number 99. And he's actually up another spot. He's up to 8, so give it 22 now as he gets by Chris DeBale for that 8th position. And you got to think that 44, really the only thing you're doing at this point, I think, if you're the driver, is really just hoping that caution comes out, or maybe you're trying the Jamie Walker technique and seeing if you have enough fuel to make it to the end. It's unlikely, even if he does have fuel, that he'll even be there for the end of it to win. But still, I think a good effort, I think, for that 44. And you never know at a place like this, and we've said historically there is a caution towards the end of these races, but these drivers are so spread out, Chris. I just don't think it's going to happen. There are battles, but there's so much room in a track like this where you can have your battles and kind of safely do it, especially with trucks out there that are a lot slower. Looks like Dwayne Dunn's back on the track trying to get a few positions for his championship hunt, and a few other drivers are going back out there. You got to talk about those drivers a lot too, because they're just going to be getting out of the way, but they can get in the way even if they don't mean to. So 4 of Gillenwater and the 39 are actually side by side. It looks like we do have a car on the inside that actually looks like he's wrecked. That's going to be Ralph Vander Forst, who's a lap down at 14th, and he crushes the inside wall on the back straightaway. So it might start to be coming here with the old tires here, Chris.
Yeah, no caution yet, Coop. The 66 machine is off the track, but talk about Michael Atkins Jr. As the replay comes up on your screen, those old tires are just coming into play now, and that's what we saw there as he crushes that inside wall. But speaking of Michael Atkins Jr., he's gonna stay out. He's basically made the bed, and he's gonna lay in it, like I like to use that saying a lot here tonight, because there's no time for him to make it back up. We're getting close to just above 10 laps to go here now, so it's going to be interesting to see Michael Atkins Jr. and see if he does, because they're only cutting about a second, maybe a second and a half off a lap, so he's probably hoping that once these drivers are working through this lap traffic and pretty much get up towards him, that their tires are going to be on the same level as him, because they've got to do quite a bit of work to get back up there. He can pretty much maneuver around and save his tires, but they got a pretty they got to push to get back up there to the 44, as you see him just letting these lap drivers go by and putting up no fight. So maybe that's the strategy this 44 is hoping for, is that by the time they get up to him, they're kind of on the same playing field, and we can actually get a good race out of this this Charlotte race.
I have been looking at those times and the lap traffic being involved that really hurt the 44, but I'd say if the 44 was able to keep his line, look at the 93 on the outside, and the wall almost created a little humongous hazard for that number 44. But without these drivers, I have a good feeling that it would have been very close. Under 10 laps to go is what it's going to be, or it's going to be 12 laps to go this time by, and you've got to believe that with that extra time that he just lost, it was going to be at least a little bit closer, but 4 seconds is now going to be the difference between himself and Scott Simley, and it's just coming down too quickly. It's a good strategy, and I'd say he's probably going to lose a couple spots. I think the farthest he's going to go back is 5th, because there's a huge distance between Crowder and Waters as well. It's about looks like 6 seconds. Actually, he's going to come down pit road this time by, so say never mind. He was hoping for a caution, and that is the end of that strategy. And looks like a 68 Scott Simley is going to get that lead, 1.4 seconds over Aaron Bennett, and that might just be all she's saying. 11 laps to go.
Yeah, and when you're a driver like Michael Atkins Jr., who didn't get the opportunity to qualify here tonight and started in the back of the field in 25th. You basically throw everything at it and throw basically all you got at it and try everything, and that's what he did, and I applaud him for that. It was definitely a valiant effort by that 44 machine. Just couldn't stay out any longer. We crossed the strike. We got 10 laps to go now. Scott Simley out to quite a bit of lead, but Aaron Bennett's slowly chipping away at it. It just might not be enough.
Yeah, he's got to get a lot of help from these lap cards, I'd say, and then Aaron Bennett still has to carve his way through them. It's not like he hasn't done it before, but at the same time, that 3 has had a lot of work to do in order to get where he's at, and he did a great job of being in the best place to start this race at the very tippy top of getting that pole, but just the pit stop just did not work out. He did get a couple tenths that time, so it is possible that this lap track is helping. Look out in front. It's getting close with the lap traffic. 42 is making a humongous hindrance to that 68 of Scott Simley. That's Matt Mara trying to stay on the lead lap, and this might be exactly what that number 3 of Aaron Bennett wanted. Try to get him out of number 2, and it did not work. He's still behind him, and this lead is going to start to dwindle if Lee continues to have an issue with that 42 truck of Matt Mara. 2 more tenths is what it's going to be, and these closing laps, that is not what you want to see as a leader.
Yeah, with 8 laps to go, I say the sweat is starting to pour on Scott Simley's forehead because he's probably getting a little bit nervous because that 3 car is clear skies, as you like to put it in a little chat there, as he's very, very, very close to that 68 now, coming off of turn 4. Going to be 7 laps to go this time by, and Aaron Bennett's going to be able to maybe cut down this lead even more.
Another 10th, I'd say, unless he gets any more help from these lap traffic. He's only going to be able to get there. Getting that pass executed is going to be a different story. They're going to have 7 laps to go at the line, and he's got to get a 10th or more each lap, and then maybe do something with him. And it's still going to be a really difficult for that driver to be able to do it, as he's really loose out of turns number 4. And that might have been all she's saying, because he lost a lot of time right there, very loose out of 4, and he just lost 2 tenths of a second, and he's probably going to continue to lose a little bit as he's still trying to regain it on the front stretch.
Yeah, those old tires starting to come into play off of 4, coming over that bump. It's always difficult, especially on old tires. You get a little bit loose and you lose all that momentum, so that might just be all she wrote. A caution could still happen. I know it's unlikely here, Coop, because all these drivers are pretty spread out, but you know, we just saw Aaron Bennett get a little bit loose, and now that could happen to any driver. So within the next few laps, a caution would have to come out, and that just changes everything, but I don't think we're going to get it.
And with the laps dwindling down, it'll be 5 to go here coming soon, and it's kind of just a waiting game at this point for any of the drivers in this hunt. There's 9 drivers on the lead lap, and you got to imagine that the caution, if it waves now, it is the point of no return. If a caution comes out, it's the end of the race. They don't have enough laps to make a full caution cycle, so even if that were to come out, it would only help Scott Simley get that lead in an easier fashion. He would just be able to coast at a measly 60 miles an hour around the Charlotte Motor Speedway to get that win. Of course, a lot of these drivers say that they don't like that because of the fact of just a little bit of competitive spirit that they have, and just gotta imagine that Aaron Bennett just did not have it in the cards really to get it at this point. Still a good finish, but man, another second place for him. That's 3 second places in 4 races. If it continues to go like this, of course, Scott Simley still has to make a couple more rounds around this track, so it's not over yet, but it's starting to look a little bleak for that 3 truck to get another win.
Yeah, definitely, and that 3 hasn't got a win on this entire season, but I mean, like we mentioned at the top of the broadcast here, Coop, wins do not matter at all. As a caution comes out, that's going to be it. Scott Simley going to be your winner here tonight at Charlotte. So definitely a great start for that driver.
Yeah, looks like the number 99 of Tristan Beats was involved, and looks like maybe he got in the outside wall a little bit, and the 97 may have made some contact on the back straightaway. Just got that 97 or 99 turned around, and a couple other drivers look like they may be involved as well. Looks like the 2 gets some right side damage, but that's about it. Looked like one more driver, looked like Randy Tesser smacked the outside wall, but relatively a smaller caution than what I was expecting at this point in the race. But like you said, race is over. And all that number 68 of Scott Simley has to do is make one more circuit. The white flag is in the air, Chris, and this is going to be how they finish. And Scott Simley, like I said, not really like how you want to finish it, but at the same time, you're going to take the win whether you get it, which way you get it. Although Scott Simley, it was going to be his really to lose at that point. If he had something, unless that caution happened in front of him, he hit these guys, it's going to be a hard one to take away from Scott Simley.
Yeah, definitely. If anything, Scott Simley is probably happy that the caution came out. That way he can just relax, because it's been a long race here tonight, about 2 hours on the show for these drivers, and a lot more practice into that. So it's definitely a win deserved by Scott Simley. He definitely fooled us, because he kind of pulled it out of the bag with about 60 laps to go, and he was able to get that strategy and get it going and pull out in front of Aaron Bennett, and Aaron Bennett was patting him on the back bumper there, telling him good job, because they're both racing there. 1-2, those are both chase racers, so it's definitely good to see some good competition here tonight at Charlotte, and it's just a great win for Scott Simley.
Under the lines, under the checkered flag, under green flag, it doesn't really matter how you win these races. Scott Simley is going to win the first race of round 2 for his 6th career win in this series and get his first win of the season. Give it to that number 68 of Scott Simley, and he is going to be one happy guy. The first 2 drivers were chase drivers, and that's a humongous boost to those guys. A lot of chase drivers had issues tonight, and the 68 got the job done.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm those top 2 drivers, I would, if I was Aaron Bennett, I would definitely consider this race tonight a win, considering the race that is looming in the distance next week. And the race that'll be going on, he'll have at least a decent cushion going into that Talladega wild card race next week. So Aaron Bennett, Scott Simley, 1-2, definitely not a bad way to start the round of 9.
Yeah, and you'll get to talk to Aaron Bennett and ask him all the hard questions about finishing twice or 3 times in the 2nd place in this chase so far. It's a good statistic to have. He's got the average finish of all these drivers, I do believe. So we'll have to check that. But, of course, we'll talk to those top 3 drivers, Simley, Bennett, and Jacoby, when we come back from commercial break. But Scott Simley, he's going to burn it down right here in front of us on the front straightaway, as he is your winner tonight of the Charlotte 167 for the chase to the championship on round number 2, race number 1 in the 2nd round. And we will see all of you on the other side. Give it a quick commercial break, get a glass of water, and we'll be right back with you on the other side.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green!
Welcome back live to Charlotte Motor Speedway here on LSRTV as we congratulate 68 of Scott Simley on his win here tonight, and a well-deserved win for him and a good second place by Aaron Bennett. And we'll go through your full field rundown provided by iRacing here tonight. Scott Simley, he wins the race. Aaron Bennett, he finished in the second position with Jason Jacoby finishing third. Ashton Crowder finished in the fourth position, and Michael Waters gets a pretty big gain tonight, finishing fifth. Greg Scarew, he finishes sixth. Tristan Beats finishes in the seventh position. Skylar Grimson, he will finish in the eighth position. Greg Mall, ninth, and Matt Mara is the last driver on the lead lap, finishing 10th.
And 11th, that's going to be the 44 of Michael Atkins Jr. saying Hothers 12th. 13th is going to belong to Stephen Herring, Jamie Walker, and that 17th is going to finish 14th. 15th, Kenneth Dale Osborne, Randy Yoakum, 16th, 17th, Randy Tester, 18th belongs to George Hendricks, 19th, Justin Kleiber, and rounding out your top 20, that's going to be Seth Dodd.
Ralph Vandervoort will finish in the 21st position with Michael Waite in 22nd. Justin Lissaby had mechanical issues earlier on and finishes in the 23rd position. Robert Yellowwater finishes in 24th. 25th will go to Dwayne Dunn. Dwight Beverly, he finishes in the 26th position. Bobby Terrell, 27th. Tommy Ryan, 28th. Brian Cutts, 29th. And Justin Michael finishes dead last in 30th place. So that's your full field rundown, and we're going to go to victory lane with the number 68 of Scott Simley. It's his first win of the season. Scott, you've got to be extremely happy to kick off the second round of the chase. Unbelievable job you did out there, and we didn't know that you were going to be the guy to beat until about halfway. What did you pick up towards the middle parts of the race to really make that truck work?
I think tonight it was, in practice until some rubber got laid down, to me it was tight. And then once the more rubber got laid down, it loosened up for me, and it just works better that way for me. Plus, I really like the track. Charlotte's one of my favorite tracks, so that helps too. But yeah, main thing was I think it just started getting rubber in it, and a little bit sliding, a little bit loose, but it was still pretty fast.
A lot of the drivers were going side by side in tonight's race, and we saw you and the 33 of Aaron Bennett go toe-to-toe a couple times. How was that, knowing that you guys were both chase drivers, yet at the same time there were a few drivers in the chase already knocked out of the race, knowing that you're going side by side with maybe a potential championship hunt towards the later goings, kind of a feeling for that here towards this middle of the season?
Yeah, Aaron's a good racer. I mean, I've raced around him, many times, and so got pretty good trust in him. I feel bad for my teammate Bobby tonight, getting loose, it looked like, and pretty much getting taken out of the race, or took himself out. But yeah, it's race around Aaron it's like I said, it's a lot of fun, just a lot of trust there, and at first I thought I'd let him go, and then I thought, no, I'm going to race him, and I thought, I'll go ahead, because I knew we had another stop, and I short pitted there on that whole last 100, I think it was 112 laps, I think it. I kind of short pitted that first time, and then kind of ran 28 lap runs, which, I think we could run 35 on fuel max, so I don't know if there was some trying to save to make it, but I wasn't going that route. A lot of fun. Truck was loose. It was a lot of fun tonight. Glad we got this win. It's a lot of good momentum going forward.
Yeah, I was just about to say, good win. Next week's Talladega, and we all know how that works out for a lot of drivers. It's kind of an unknown, kind of a wild card. And really, what do you feel like going through there now that you have the win? Now that you have the most points in the race? Well, at least we think Aaron Bennett may have led the most laps, and he may be tied with you. But you have you have a good points margin over some of these other drivers going to Talladega.
Yeah, it's good to have that little bit of cushion there, because you just never know what's going to happen. Not sure a strategy yet. We'll kind of see maybe how qualifying goes and our practice goes, and decide whether or not we're going to push it and start up front, or try to play it safe, because the cushion can go away real fast, because there'll be a lot of tight points battle there, I'm sure.
Well, we'll see you next week at Talladega. And before we let you go, of course, as always, we'll let you have a chance to have the mic and give your shout outs to the sponsors. Anyone else you want to say hi to?
Thanks, Austin. Yeah, I got to thank friends and family, of course, letting me take the time to do this and watching me if they're out there. Hippie's Paint Shop, Rockford Fosgate, teammate Bobby Terrell, all these guys that put on the racing here. You guys put on just an awesome show, like always, that I always said. But Aaron putting on the league and taking the time to do it, it's looking good, picking up some good drivers and getting some good numbers, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
It does look like you guys are getting quite a bit of other drivers out there to join you guys, and I'm sure it only makes it more fun there out there for you, Scott. So thank you for giving you more of your time as you win tonight. There you have it, the number 68 of Scott Simley, and I'll pass it down. Chris Murdoch is going to catch up with the second and third place finisher of the number 3 truck of Aaron Bennett, who finishes in the second position.
Yeah, I'm sitting here with Aaron Bennett. Aaron, it's been a tough, long race tonight. You know, there was a lot of ups and a lot of downs. What was it like for you out there tonight?
It was a good race. Charlotte at daytime is one of the most fun tracks, and it would get loose at the end of the run. It was a great driving set, and then the first run, I had set sail. I was in a good rhythm. I was hitting the marks. Everything was right, perfect. And then the caution fell. The first caution fell, and I came in and pitted, and still came out the leader, which was good. And I was still the same thing. I was doing better, and then it seemed like when the last caution came out. That run there, I was missing my marks, and I could tell by the lap times that it was me that was missing, because the guys were able to hang with me, and I was like, either the track's getting hotter or something. I mean, I have no idea. It was, but that was me. And then Scotty, he played the tire strategy absolutely perfect on that second to last pit stop there. I pitted at 103, and he waited to I think 108, and man. Their tires are everything, and I should have known better. I should have waited at the end, but I don't know. I like short pitting. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You live and die by that sword, and you got to play it just right. And it kind of got me, but I'll take second, and I'll take the points going into Talladega. And Talladega is just an absolute crapshoot, as you all know. So
yeah, definitely. That's kind of what I wanted to lead into. You know, in the second place regard, you know, you've come up second out of the last 3 races, and you've yet to get a win on this season. And you know, even though wins do not matter in this chase whatsoever, and you've proven that by making it to the round of 9 and hopefully further on, because you just had a phenomenal season here this season, Aaron. Does it ever get disheartening that you can, you know, lead and have the most dominant car for the majority of all these races and just fall off somewhere in the middle towards the end?
Well, this one here not as bad, but the opening race of the Chase Chicagoland, I was class, and that one stung. I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think this is number 9 for the second place finish this year, and this is the only league I run in, USR. We also run on Fridays too, and I was telling the guys that I race with and TeamSpeak with when I'm racing, I was like, man, I'm going on 7 months since the last time I've won a league race. I said, it's getting to be a dry spell. I think I've actually forgotten how to do it, to be honest with you. But I don't know. I'll take it, honest with you. I mean, seconds are good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with silver, I guess, but everybody wants that gold. But doesn't matter. Like a wise man once said, you may not win the battle, but I'll win the war. That's my motto going forward. So.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll be able to find that out throughout the rest of the season. But I want to jump in just a little bit into next week. You know, you were able to get second, which is awesome, going into next week, which is Talladega, which that cushion will always help, because you never know what's going to happen there. What's kind of your mindset, and how are you going to prepare for the race like Talladega?
Well, I really don't know. You just got to go in there, and you just got to be mindful. Everything that's going on. I don't know. I got to talk with the teammates and see what we want to do. But some of our teammates are on different agendas. I mean, a lot of us, we're still in the championship thing, and we all had good nights tonight. And we just, I necessarily don't have to win next week to or have a good finish, because there are some chase guys that had problems tonight too. So my main goal is just to not have issues to next week. I just want to come in there, get a solid top 10, maybe a top 15, or even a top 15 would be good, and just avoid the crashes. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to qualify yet for that race. I may just start in the back and ride around, but I really have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, it's just one of them things. You go with the flow, pretty much.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that you'll be able to figure something out next week, because you've had a phenomenal season and a very, very consistent up to this point. But before we let you go here, Aaron, we're going to give you the chance to give any sponsor shout out. Who's making it happen for that number 3 machine?
I think my teammates over at Young Guns, Greg, George, Jamie, and the admins too, that help us out in USR. Also thank my business partner, Gareth Casal, for letting us sponsor this deal here. Usually I have it on the hood, but I wanted to run the Exalta paint tonight. It's one of my all-time favorite paints. A good friend of mine made that for me, and I think it's awesome. That's what Junior should have ran, I think, with the black and the silver. But that's story for another day. But that's pretty much all. And you guys for the broadcast, and see y'all next week.
And there you have it, guys. That's the number 33 of Aaron. No, number 3 of Aaron Bennett. Aaron, thanks for your time, and congrats on your second place finish.
Thank you, buddy.
And I'm going to move down here just a little bit to talk to Jason Jacoby, who is your third place finisher. We're going to see if I can get a word in with him. Jason, you started third, you finished third, so you definitely can't complain. How was the race out there tonight?
Man, it was great, bud. Thanks for asking. It was a fun race for sure. I'm super happy with third. I think I'd be happy with 25th as well, just 'cause I'm so lucky to be able to sim race, So, shout out to Domino's, of course. I'm not endorsed yet, but anyway, you can get 2 or more medium 2 topping pizzas for $5.99 each, or for carrot, you can get a large 3 topping. Besides that, for $7.99. Besides that, I'm not really sure what to say. Aaron and I had an interesting conversation just before we got live on the interview, and that was like, Aaron was super fast in the beginning of the race, but then he was just missing his marks. And when it's a fixed setup, the winner is usually one who doesn't miss his marks at the end. So, it was a fun balance of trying to hit those marks and then messing up, but it was a good race.
And we were talking to Aaron, and he, tires are such a big issue, and he said how loose the truck got later on in the run, and we even saw that happening up here in the booth, where we would see some people wiggle off the corners and almost lose it. We saw Tommy Ryan driving through the grass a little bit to keep it safe. Did you ever have any of those issues, or did you ever feel the truck getting a little bit too loose for your comfort?
Good question. Man, I ran a few months ago a C fixed race here, and it was like very similar settings, and I got really loose. And like, I remember that race a few months ago. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it a little easier. And so I didn't get too loose. And my theory of late has been like, just don't mess up. So like, instead of trying to go really hard and catch Scott and Aaron and mess up at the end, I was like, you know what? I'll step it out maybe a little sideways, but for the most part, try to keep it safe and maybe chip away a little bit. But it was better to not put myself in the wall or spin out and wreck than to push it just a little too hard. And it was definitely a little sideways, but I managed that a little bit.
And, unfortunately, Jason, you're not going to be able to compete for the championship the years, but that must take a sigh of relief off your back for maybe a track like next week at Talladega. And I just want to kind of get your mindset, because you really don't have anything to lose. So what's your mindset going into next week at Talladega?
Oh, man. So basically, I love Talladega. I love passing people at any track, but I think the key is for me to not be intimidated or afraid to pass, because the first time we ran Talladega in USR, I was a little less afraid, making moves that were kind of risky and stuff. And I want to do that this next Saturday at Talladega, but I don't know if I'll be, I don't want to take guys out or anything or get guys too mad at me. But actually, Chris, thanks. That reminds me, I want to throw back just a few weeks ago at Richmond. No one's ever got mad at me in this league. Everyone here is super nice. Great league, great clean racers. But when I made that mistake at Richmond and took a bunch of guys out on the first lap, I mean, no one reamed me out or anything like that. So they were cool about it. But hopefully I'll be brave next week and try to make some cool moves, I guess, and make it up to the front and then try to hold it there if I can. And I should have I might have a human spotter for that race, but however it goes, we're going to have a bunch of fun.
Well, you're definitely able to make it up to the front, coming home in third. Before we let you go here, Jason, we heard you mention Domino's earlier, but we're going to give you one final chance to give any sponsors, shout outs. Who makes it happen for you, Jason?
Thanks, Chris. Well, I want to give a huge shout out to Ashton Crowder. His logo's on the truck. It's the Drill Spill, and it's an online racing team that he runs. And we've also got my YouTube channel, which I have a bunch of great subscribers. And huge thanks to everyone watching whenever I stream live. And definitely Domino's again, 2 or more items for $5.99 each, including medium 2-topping pizzas, oven baked sandwiches, stuffed cheesy breads, pasta dishes, 8-piece chicken wings, marble cookie brownie, salads, a whole bunch of stuff. So that's a great deal going on right now. And chances are, as it's midnight on a Saturday, your local owned Domino's is probably still open. So please feel free to go and get some of that if you'd like.
All right, and there you have it, guys. That's the one of Jason Jacoby comes home third. Jason, thank you for taking time to chat with us here tonight.
Thank you all. Thanks, Chris. See you guys.
And there you have it, Coop. We're about to wrap up here from a wild night at Charlotte. A lot of strategy here tonight. What are you expecting here next week at Talladega?
Oh, what to expect. And man, the thing that we see a lot here on LSR TV, every week we have the Super Speedway Cup, which is every Friday. But at the same time, when you get a lot of guys that are not always on the super speedways, you see something that might be a little bit different. Perhaps that they will actually be asking maybe the Super Speedway Cup guys, or maybe looking at the film and seeing what the setup is like. Of course, on Monday, the RSR series will also be there. So there's going to be a lot of drivers really maybe trying to do something different, I think, maybe than normal, or maybe just trying the same old, just trying the bottom and hoping it works. There's a lot of strategies that you can try and do, and you never know what it's going to be. So I think Talladega is just one of those you just never can really point and say that's what it's going to be. So like Chris said, as we wrap up, tomorrow night we will be on iRacing's YouTube for the Craftsman Series late models, and don't want to miss that. And of course RSR is going to be on Monday, and then we'll have the Cars Esport Tour on Wednesday, playing in the Mud Sprint Cars on Thursday, Super Speedway Cup Series on Friday, and as every week we'll be here for the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series here on Saturday next week. And of course, BNC Lawn and Landscaping Service is based in Frankfort, Delaware. Check out BNC for all your landscaping needs, including turf care, mulching, snow removal, and more. So from all of us here at LSR TV, Evan Pasoko, Laura Lawson, Andy Kessler, myself, Austin Coop, Chris Murdoch, and Cisco Scarmuza, we do bid you a farewell night from LSR TV, the voice of sim racing.